I don't think that there is any doubt in anyone's mind that the Creation Suite is the heart, soul, and blood pumping through the veins of the WWE Games community. On the base level, any WWE game offers a handful of single-player modes, most of which can be beaten within a day of playing, a limited online mode that just lets you play the base game matches online with your friends, along with a few extra bells and whistles to make the game as fun as it can be. If this was all a WWE game had to offer, then the conversation regarding any new WWE game would be over with the release of the final DLC pack. But along with this base level offering, the WWE Games franchise has been providing fans with one of the most kick-ass features for over the last 15 years, and that is of course, the Creation Suite. The Creation Suite not only allows players to create their own characters, arenas, shows, entrances, movesets, championships and more, but it also allows you to share those creations online with the rest of the community. These two things are what keeps the newest WWE game fresh and active from the point of release, all the way up until the release of the next game. But as great as Creation Suite is, it could certainly do with some improvements, especially when you take into account that many of these modes haven't really evolved all that much from when they were first introduced into the franchise. Now, on the surface level, I think the Creation Suite options that we have are pretty good, and there aren't too many more that we would need to see added to the game in order to complete our experience. There is one, however, and I'll come to that here in just a little bit, but for now, I wanted to focus on the Creation Suite features that we already have and discuss what I think could be done to bring each of them to the next level and make them feel fresh and new once again. Starting with Create a Superstar. This to me is the mode that has seen the smallest amount of change over recent years, but to be fair to 2K, that's because the mode is pretty flawless the way it is. The details that you're able to add to both your face morph and attires is incredible, allowing you to not only create whatever you want from your own imagination, but also allows people to make hyper-realistic models of people who exist in real life. For me, the major thing that is missing from Create a Superstar right now is the ability to freely customize your body. This is something that we've had in previous WWE games, but it was removed in 2K22, as they said they wanted to remove clipping issues from created models. Well, unfortunately, that goal was never realized, as clipping still exists on created models in the game. So I think it's time we had the ability to morph our bodies added back into the game, so people can continue to have that freedom that they desire when they're creating a new character from scratch. Next up, we have Create an Entrance. Now, this mode had a lot of controversy surrounding it coming into 2K22, because after many years of having the ability to customize our entrance with an advanced setting, that was removed in this year's game, citing crashing issues as the reason for its removal. So of course, we all want to see this come back as soon as possible to the WWE Games franchise, but to me, that's letting them off easy. You can't just remove something, add it back next year and call it a new feature and then go home. We deserve more than that. The big thing that I would love to see added into Create an Entrance is the ability to freely customize the camera angles on your entrance, just like you could do in Highlight Reel. Having the ability to move the camera around to your liking as your superstars make their entrances would not only add so much to the individual experience, but when you compare your entrances with other people within the community, the odds on your entrances looking completely unique are going to be pretty high, as being able to change up the camera angles will add a lot of depth and creativity to the already awesome entrances that can be created with an advanced entrance tool. Since we're talking about Create an Entrance, I'll quickly mention Create a Victory, because in reality, all of the changes I would like to see made to Create a Victory are pretty much all of the options that exist within an advanced entrance creation tool. The ability to change the lighting, add pyro, change camera angles, and all that great stuff that we want to see back in Create an Entrance, I think all of that belongs and has a home in Create a Victory as well. Moving on from that, let's talk about Create a Moveset. Now, this is probably my favourite creation feature in the game, as not only do I like to see the moves play out within this mode before selecting them for my matches, but I just love to see all the wild and over the top moves that they end up putting into these games. However, as much as I love the mode, it needs a huge improvement, and that is in the organisation of the moves. Currently, you have the option to scroll through all the moves in alphabetical order, as well as sort them into a few select categories in certain parts of the mode, but there could be a lot more here. Create a Superstar received a really cool update this year, in which you can break down the base categories of the attire pieces that they already offer you into even more specific types of attire pieces. Having something like this in Create a Moveset, allowing people to find specific types of moves and taunts more easily, would be amazing to see. I think some of these subcategories could include things like moves for big guys, moves for high flyers, moves for brawlers, moves for technicians, moves for comedy wrestlers, moves for dirty wrestlers, and so much more. For this next one, I'm going to talk about Create an Arena and Create a Show hand in hand, because in reality, I think these two modes need to be brought together and one of them needs to be scrapped. It's just very pointless having them both. You spend all of this time in Create an Arena just to not be able to use the arena you just made until you go over to Create a Show and make a show with the arena, at which point you can then play it on your game. It also confuses things when you're trying to share stuff online with friends. Did you upload it as an arena? Did you upload it as a show? What's the difference? Who knows? And who cares? But in reality, this is all very pointless, so scrap Create a Show and just make its features a tab within the final page of Create an Arena. But that's not the only change that I would like to see come to this mode, because on top of that, the parts that are available within Create an Arena have been the same parts for many years now, and players want to see something fresh. In recent years, Create a Superstar has started getting some new attire pieces added into the game with each new game's release, and Create an Arena should be no different. We should have new stage pieces and new props added as frequently as possible, especially considering they add in new arenas to the game every year, so just take those parts and give them to us in Create an Arena. It's not a big ask, but it is something that could go a long way in giving people a newfound spark within this part of the Creation Suite. Again, I'm going to cover the next two modes as a package deal because everything I have to say about one applies to the other. And those are Create a Championship and Create a Money in the Bank briefcase. Overall, I think these modes are pretty good and do a good job at staying up to date, adding in new championship belts to the newest version of the game whenever WWE have updates in real life. But the biggest thing I would like to see when it comes to these two Creation Suite modes is just more realism injected into the things that are made within these modes. Unless you have a very talented creator who has taken many extra steps and measures to ensure that their creations look just as realistic as the ones in game, you're going to see quite a big difference in the created stuff the game has to offer versus the non-created stuff. Players should be able to go in and easily create a championship or Money in the Bank briefcase that looks just as real as the ones already do in game, without it being such a chore. Create a Video is the last Creation Suite feature already in the game that I wanted to talk about here today, and to me, I think this feature needs a complete revamp. Rather than it being something that is focused on being an in-game video editor, it should be more focused on being a tool that allows players to easily create themselves a complete Tron package. From your main Titantron movie, to the Minitron, to the ring post LEDs, and everything else in between. And I would repackage this mode into Create a Tron. You would keep a lot of the features as they are now with a few quality of life improvements to allow people to make their own Titantron movie, but on top of that, they should give players the option to add and customize the other Trons too, with color selection, logo placement, video backgrounds, and more. I think this would be a big deal to a lot of players, and could be the type of improvements that they make one of the main marketing pushes of the game about, so I've got high hopes for changes in this department one day. Now that we've covered all of the Creation Suite options that WWE 2K22 already has to offer, I just wanted to give a quick shout out and mention to one of the long gone but never forgotten modes from a Creation Suite of WWE Games past, and that is of course the infamous Create a Story. You all know what it is. The mode that allows you to create your own WWE storylines from scratch using a large variety of cutscenes and tools, and by God, this needs to come back. In the modern age, with how popular the online portion of the WWE Games community is, having this mode will allow for so much more content to be created and consumed, meaning that it could really end up doing big things for the WWE Games franchise as a whole. There are rumours already swirling around the internet that this mode could in fact be coming back to WWE 2K23, so as soon as we hear anything else regarding that, we'll be right here on this channel breaking it down for you. So if you want to make sure that you don't miss out on any of that info, make sure to hit the subscribe button as we'll be covering it as soon as it happens. Of course, as usual, I would love to hear all your thoughts on today's topic at hand, so make sure to tell me what you would like to see from WWE 2K23's Creation Suite in the comment section down below, and while you're down there, don't forget to slap a like on the video. Thank you very much for watching, and if you like this one, you may enjoy one of these videos as well.